Yo, what's going on, family? What's going on? What's going on? I want to welcome y'all to another episode of Friday Night Live with me, Pastor Frank. What's up, Nidra in the house? Listen, do me a favor as y'all coming in. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that tag some folks in the post. Let them know that we live and we on the air on this Friday night. Y'all know how I like to do it. Is anybody else glad that we made it to yet another Friday night? I mean, listen, no matter what our work week looked like, no matter what our work week, whether it was work week or just if you didn't have to work, right? No matter what the week looked like, we made it to the end of yet another week. And as always, you all, we should be grateful. I know I am. And so, especially on tonight, tonight, as you all know, it ain't no secret. Tonight is the final episode for season one. Notice I said season one. That means we'll be coming back for another season. But tonight is the last night for season one of Friday Night Live with me, Pastor Frank. And so, listen, again, as you all are coming in, you all have been hearing me say on the last few episodes, I still want to connect with you even on the off season. So if you have not shot me a text, shoot me a text, send me a text to 833-858-5897. Again, that's 833-858-5897. Listen, I want to connect with you. This particular number is a number where you can send me text and I can send you text and we can respond. As a matter of fact, I don't know if some of y'all, y'all heard it here first, but there was in the promo video, there was a flyer talking about faith text, right? Because I know probably going into the summer, I'll be doing something different, right? I know we've all heard of a virtual Bible study, but we're going to do Bible study through text, right? Where the information and the content will be already pre-made and pre-done. And so we'll be connecting with each other through text message. Come on now. It don't get no easier than that, right? We always got our phones with us. And during the summer, we all of us do a lot of moving and grooving and vacationing and whatnot. And so we're gonna try and do something different. So again, if you have not sent me a text, shoot me a text so I can have your number locked in to 833-858-5897. And that way when we have the Bible study, the text through Bible study going, or maybe even if you just want to shoot me a text and send out a prayer request, right? If you got some questions, some concerns that you may not want to send publicly, right? For whatever reason. What's going on, Miss Sharon? Whatever it is, I want to stay connected with you even on the off season as we prepare. What's up, Nicole? Even as I prepare for season two. But before we jump into season two, I'm just being honest. I got to take a little break. I love y'all, but I want to make sure that when I pour, right, that I got something to pour, right. I don't want to pour on empty. I want to make sure that my cup, right, is still overflowing. In that way, I can pour out of my overflow and not out of my reserve. What's up, Nicole? And so make sure you shoot me a text. I'll mention it again at the end before we get ready to get up out of here. But I don't know about you all, but I was looking forward to tonight. And the reason I was looking forward to tonight, because just throwing out some kind of behind the scenes stuff, when God gave me the idea to do this whole Friday Night Live, I'm one of those people where I start at the end and work backwards, right? So this particular episode, God gave me this episode first, but I knew in order for us to get here, there were some other things that we needed to cover before we got here, as we are taking this journey of faith together. And so, without further ado, tonight, you all, we will be talking about the topic of evolving faith. Do me a favor, right before we get ready to jump in, if you haven't tagged some people in the chat that may need to hear this conversation, because remember, we're gonna be out for a few weeks now, or for a little time. I ain't gonna say a few weeks. We're gonna be out. We're gonna be on sabbatical or on break or whatever it is until we come back for season two. But there's some folks that need to hear this conversation, and some conversations you you just had to be there in order to be a part of it. But tonight, you all, we are talking about evolving faith. Nidra, Nicole, Sharon, y'all ready? Well, let's go. So here's the thing, you all. When it comes to our faith, I want to pose a question. Do you all think that it's simply a matter of either people, and when I say people, I'm generalizing, but the question is for each one of us to answer ourselves. Do you think it's simply a matter of either you got faith or you don't have faith? That's a good question. Well, I want to point out to you all that the Bible actually suggests, and if somebody want to take a little notes, Matthew chapter 17, verses 14 through 20 in particular, it tells the story of a father whose son was being tormented by a demonic spirit, right? And this father then brings his demonically possessed son to Jesus. And he says to Jesus, Jesus, I'm bringing my son to you because guess what? I brought my son to your disciples. I brought my son to those guys who've been walking with you for a minute. We took my son to those guys who know how you talk, who know how you move. When you move, they move just like that. We took my son to those guys. And the Bible says that the guy said, and they couldn't heal him. So Jesus then turned and looked at his disciples and he said, and he looked at them and said, you faithless and corrupt people, how long must I be with you? How long must I put up with you? And then he tells the father, bring the boy to me. Then Jesus goes on and he casts out the demon. Now, if you keep reading what happened, it goes on and says that after the father and his son left, the disciples then turned and asked Jesus, Jesus, why couldn't we cast out the demon? To which Jesus replies in verse 20, he said, you don't have enough faith. And then he went on to tell them, I tell you the truth right now. If you have faith, even, watch this, even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible. Now, I don't know if y'all caught that little piece. Jesus told them, if you at least had faith the size of a mustard seed. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever seen a mustard seed. A mustard seed is so, if you put that mustard seed in your hand, you could barely see it. It's that tiny. Jesus was saying to them, he started out, I mean, he didn't sugarcoat it. He came right out and said it. You faithless people. And then he explained, if y'all had at least faith small as that, nothing would be impossible. So as I meditated on that whole conversation, you all, that led me. Now let me just throw it out there for my Bible scholars, because if you read the same story is detailed in Mark chapter 9. Before I keep going, let me just throw this out there. The same story is detailed and chronicled in Mark chapter 9, and it actually gives a little more detail, right? Because Jesus also in Mark chapter 9, he even clarifies and says this demonic spirit that he still called them faithless people, right? He still says they didn't have enough faith, but what he did was he then went on to clarify to say, but this particular spirit only comes out through prayer and fasting. But the point that I'm making, so as I keep going, the point that the thing that stood out to me was the fact that Jesus was able to say to them, "You didn't have enough faith," says to me that there must be something about our faith where it's not just a matter of if we have it or do we not have it. It has to suggest that there are various levels when it comes to our faith. And knowing this, I got two questions for us on tonight. The first question is, how much faith do you and I actually have? And the second question is, how dedicated are we to increasing our faith? Don't answer it right now. And because if we're being honest, you all, the truth is none of us can really say that we got enough faith. Now, hey, maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, go ahead and tell me. I mean, go ahead and put your hand up or whatever. I mean, if you think you got enough faith, go right ahead. God bless you. But I believe you all, we will never come to the place where we will have enough faith. And here's the thing, I believe you all that our faith, just as with anything else that grows, eventually it should evolve. Now, let me say, what does it mean? What's the difference between growing and evolving? Well, let me say, growing our faith means we're doing what's necessary. Watch this, so that our belief in God begins to grow, right? Meaning, when you first come into the knowledge of who God is, we believe him, but we still have traces and ounces of doubt. Now, let me clarify. As long as you and I are human, as long as we are flesh and blood, we all will have moments of doubt. But as we begin to grow our faith, right? As we begin to understand and know who God is, our belief in him will increase. Meaning, once God proves himself to us in certain areas, we then, without him having to prove himself, we will then trust and believe that he can and will do what he says. But here's the thing. So, what's the difference between evolving? By definition, evolve means, watch this, to develop gradually, especially from, watch this, a simple form to a more complex form. In other words, our faith should become more complex. And when we say complex, I'm gonna say more detailed, right? Our faith should become it shouldn't be just surface. It should become more detailed, more complex, more deeply rooted as we begin to grow. Here's an example that I believe we all can understand. When a baby is first conceived, it begins to grow gradually inside a mother's womb. And as time begins to go on, the baby in the form that it was in, which was shaped, it didn't have a shape, right? There was no form. It was just I want to make sure I choose my words carefully. It just was. Let's say it that way. But as the baby began to grow inside of the mother's womb, watch this, more details about the baby began to be revealed as it began to grow. Like, as an example, as the baby began to grow, there was already a baby. We just did not, you may not know what the sex or of the baby is until it grows to a certain point. And as the baby begins to grow, then a doctor can use his equipment and say, "Oh, it's a boy, it's a girl." And eventually the baby develops to the point of needing, watch this, in order for it to continue to grow the way that properly, eventually the baby has to be removed or transition from the womb, or has to transition out of the mother's womb in order for the baby to continue to grow properly. And watch this. Once the baby is birthed and removed from the womb, the more the baby grows, the more it evolves. The more certain details begin to come into fruition. Like details like, what features do they have? Do they have more of the mama's eyes or the daddy's eyes? Do they got the daddy's nose or the mama's nose, right? physical traits begin to become more detailed. Ah, but as the baby begins to increase in age, it becomes more complex. It begins to develop its own personality traits. Some of them are inherited by nature and by its environment. But as that baby begins to evolve, as it's growing and taking in all of the things that is needed from its environment, it begins to evolve into its own personality. Well, here's the thing, you all. Just like that baby, it is our responsibility to care for and nurture our faith so that it will continue to grow and eventually it should evolve. I don't have a lot for us on tonight because the reality is this: the whole point of these Friday Night Lives is to encourage us to make intentional time to reflect. Many of us are so busy that it's hard for us to just sit still and meditate and reflect, to sometimes take a hard look in the mirror. But it's my desire, you all, that on this last episode of season 1, I want to take some time to just encourage each and every one of us to make intentional time and consider and ask yourself the question: how much faith do you really have? Do you have as much faith as you think you do? And regardless of what space you may be in, how dedicated have you actually been? Not what you say with your mouth. We're gonna call a spade a spade. I ain't talking about what your intentions are. You know, many of us, we got good intentions. The question is, how dedicated have you actually been in intentionally working to increase your faith? Well, wherever it is that you may be on this faith journey, I encourage each and every one of you under the sound of my voice, even on the replay. I encourage you to take the necessary steps to start doing whatever it is that is needed to grow your faith. Because, in case you didn't know, there's a book in the Bible called Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 6 to be specific, that reminds all of us who claim to be Christians and those who even desire to be a Christian. It tells us that without faith, it is impossible to please God. And I don't know about you. I mean, I know what I hope for you. I hope for the best. I hope and pray for the best for you. But as for me and my house, I definitely want to please God. As a matter of fact, I want to make sure that He welcomed me into them pearly gates. And I want to hear Him say, "Welcome, my good and faithful servant." But guess what? I believe you want to hear Him say the same thing. And the best way to do that is to, number one, stay in His Word. And what do I mean by stay in His Word? Don't just read it, because a lot of us, we good. Now, many of us are not good at reading it, but for some of us, we good at reading it. We just don't do it. So when I say stay in His Word, read it and then apply it to our lives on a daily basis. But then the second thing, you all, We got to stay connected to his people. Well, I don't like people. Well, that sucks for you. Yeah, I know I'm going to keep it 100. That sucks for you. You know why? Because everything that God is going to do for us is going to come through other people. God ain't coming back until it's his time. But in the meantime, he's going to bless you through people. We talked about this on one of our earlier episodes. You got to stay connected to his people. And then granted, everybody that claim they his people ain't his people. But guess what? When you get in his word, it teaches you about how God operates and how God moves. And it helps you understand how his spirit moves, which helps you to discern when people are just giving you that, they talking with their mouth, but they not really serving the same God that you say you serve. So everybody, I mean, let's be honest. There's some wolves in sheep's clothing in God's church. There's some wolves in sheep's clothing claiming to be his people. And because you just listen to their mouth and don't discern in the spirit, some of us get deceived. And I'm not talking about just members, preachers too. There's some preachers that claim that they speaking on behalf of God, but be speaking reckless. But the reality is, I gotta say this because I saw a video of an older pastor who was talking about church hurt, and I'm sure we're gonna revisit the topic of church hurt sometime again in next season, season 2. But the pastor mentioned something, a perspective that I really hadn't thought about. Why? Because I do know what church hurt is, and I know a lot of people that have experienced church hurt, but he put it in a different perspective that has me meditating and chewing on that thing. He said, many of y'all done been to restaurants that did you wrong. You done been to hospitals you done been to numerous places that have done you wrong. And guess what? You may not go to that specific restaurant. You may choose to go to a different hospital. You may say, I don't mess with that hospital, but you don't stop going to hospitals. He said, but for some reason, people use the excuse for church hurt to then not go to church at all. And I began to think about that. That's true. Because the reality is, first off, when we go to church, are we going to fellowship with other believers? Yes. Are all the other believers going to be perfect? No. But guess what? God is still going to do whatever he's going to do for us through other people. So we got to stay connected to his people, you all. Because it's then and only then, the more we stay in his word, the more we stay connected and get connected with the right people. Keyword, right people. We got to be connected to the right people. And let me just throw this out there. Why else is it important for us to get connected to the right people? Because this journey of faith is going to be hard. Sometimes it's going to be lonely. And yes, there are seasons where we may have to walk certain parts of this journey alone. But all of us are going to need someone to walk with us, even if it's just a part of the way. But we got to make sure we connect to the right people. And I believe you all, part of the reason that God gave me even the vision, not just for Redwood Studios. Redwood Studios is an extension of the church that I will be planting, launching in the fall. Right? A church where genuine people can come together, can grow together. Some people may not understand this church language, but a place where we can do life together. For real. That's what Redwood Community Church is all about. It's about finding and connecting with the right people. I'm sure probably maybe I'm thinking sometime next season I'll probably I'll be definitely talking more about Redwood Community Church, because some of you have seen me wearing the logo, my RC logo and thing, but even my logo represents community, because I know how important community is to help us on this journey of faith. Sometimes we may not always want to stay in the word, but when you get with the right people, they can encourage you and help you to stay in the word. But here's the key, you all. As we stay, the more we dive into his word, the more we get connected with God, the right people that God sends for us, the more our faith will not only grow, but it will evolve. And watch this, evolve in a healthier way. So, listen, that's all I got for y'all on tonight. Listen, I want to thank each and every one of you that has been tuning in. Listen, you all, we have been rocking and rolling for the last 23 weeks. I appreciate each and every one of you all. And listen, I'm looking forward to season two. I'm gonna give me some rest before season two starts. As a matter of fact, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Save the date, save the date. April 19th. That's in 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, save the date, April 19th. I will be back on for a special season one recap. And I'm gonna have my sister and licensed therapist Toya Johnson on, since we was having technical difficulty before. And so what I'll do is we'll do a season one recap, and I'll have her on. And so we may try and do a question and answer Q&A type setup or something like that. We'll figure it out. So look forward to, I'll probably post some other information, or I'm telling you now, if you have certain questions you have for me or for her, you can inbox me those questions, and then on that special recap of season one, we'll try to answer as many of those questions as possible. Also, you all don't forget, if you have not connected with me, shoot me a text at 833-858-5897. Again, that's 833-858-5897. Shoot me a text so that I can stay connected during this whole off season. We can still stay connected together. I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard of doing Bible study through text, and so I'm excited to see how this pans out and how it works out. And so, but I want to connect with you all, and so I look forward to seeing you all again. But as always, I got to get up out of here. But as always, I need y'all to know I love you. Most importantly, God loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out. Nidra, that number again, hold on, because I see you. 83. You already subscribed, Nidra. I already got you, but I'm gonna throw it out there again. The number is 833-858-5897. Again, that number is 833-858-5897. That is a number connected to Redwood Church, my church. And so I'll be doing a lot of communication. Yes, I'll still be using social media, but that text will be the way that I connect, and especially for the Bible study through text. That'll be the way that we'll be communicating. Thank you, Nidra. You rocking and rolling with me. That's my girl right there. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. So shoot me a text. You'll get a response back automatically. And then I do know that we already have things already set up. So the text Bible study won't be starting until June, but I want to make sure that everybody's locked and loaded. We got everybody's number in the system, so that when that time, and guess what? It's going to be a 36-day Bible study text through the book of John. And so it's a partnership that I've joined with another organization that we'll be working through. It's something different, right? But I believe that, in this season and in this time, we're going to use all the tools that God give us to make sure that we can grow our faith. Is that all right? I got to get up out of here. Until next time, peace out.